All right, so since we're transitioning from 2D to 3D animation, we need to get back into a little bit of 3D modeling. The last 3D model we did, I think, for this is the beginning of the semester, the boombox. So for now, we will model this Pokeball as a single mesh, and we will be learning about some editing tools like the knife tool and the bisect tool. All right, so I'm going to start a new scene here. All right, so I will be deleting that cube, and then I'm going to turn on my screencast so that you could see all the keys that I'm pressing here. All right, so the first thing is that I will use an object that's pre-made in Blender, which is Mesh UV Sphere. Okay, when you first create a UV sphere, you will see all its property down here. The default would be 32 by 16 by 1. So you don't need to do any changes here. Whatever the default is what we'll be using. We do need to rotate this sphere so that it's the top is facing the front. Okay, so this is the front viewport, kind of like this right here. So we do need to rotate this facing the front. So there's several ways to do that. Let me show everything to you. So I'm gonna click on the rotate tool right here. So if this is the front viewport here, I'm gonna press number 1, and you want it rotated there. You can grab the red circle and then just kind of rotate it that way. Okay, when you do that, it'll ask you what is the angle. You can type in 90 and it'll be flat. If I look at this from the side viewport, there it is. Okay, so that's one way to do it. So let me click undo. Another way is to press the sidebar, press N, and then go to item, and then the red axis is our rotation. Oh, sorry, right here. So you can just type in under X 90 degrees. All right, and you can rotate it this way. Another way to do it is again with the I'm going to put that to 0 here. If you want it precisely, you can also go to the side viewport and hold down Control while you're rotating, so it snaps to 5-degree increment, and you can get your 90-degree rotation by doing that. Okay. Another way to do it is actually type in commands. So if you press R for rotation, and then type in X for the X-axis, and then 90 and enter, it'll do the same thing. All right, so I just showed you like 4 different ways to rotate it. Okay, so that it's when we press number 1 on the numpad, you're looking at it from the front viewport. All right, so let's get to work here. All right, so I'm gonna click on the tab so that we're in edit mode. Okay, so object to edit mode. And then I want to make sure here that what we're doing here, or selecting the front and the back of the sphere, get selected by turning on X-ray mode. Okay, so that button right there gives it like an X-ray. So if X-ray is off, and then I did some selection here at the front, only what's up front is selected. None of the back will be selected. If I turn on X-ray, everything that's within that marquee selection, front and back, gets selected. All right, so that's all the difference right there. Okay, I'm going to turn that on. Okay, and then I'm going to press A, it's an apple, to select everything. If you double tap A, it deselects everything. So it's just kind of like an invert opposite selection. All right, so while we're in edit mode, I'm going to click tab right here so you could see object mode and edit mode. Okay, when I'm in object mode, only your transform tools will be active. Okay, and that's like a multi-tool right there. That's like for everything. But however, when you click on edit mode, you have all these tools right here specifically designed for manipulating and editing your mesh. Okay, so the tools that we're learning today is right here. Okay, by default you see the knife tool, but whenever you see that little notch right there, click and hold your mouse, then there's other tools underneath, kind of like here. If I click and hold, there's more tools underneath. Okay, so we're going to go for the knife tool. Keyboard shortcut on this one is K, as for knife, and then underneath is the bisect tool. Okay, Shift B for the keyboard shortcut for that. So we're not going to use the knife tool per se, but let me demo it. Okay, so if I press K right here, if I go to any portion here and then just run this, you're basically creating a cut. All right, and then you can snap it back to the beginning right there, and then to end the tool you press enter. Okay, and let me turn off the so you can see all that cut. Like all right, so if you don't press enter, you're trapped to this tool and you can't do anything. Okay, the tool is still active, so I have to go back to my select tool right there to kind of get rid of it. Press number 1, go back to the front. I'm going to click undo to get rid of that. So what we want is not the knife tool, it's the bisect. Okay, so the bisect tool basically is it's like a super knife tool that goes all the way around the object. Okay, so first, in order to use the bisect tool, we need to make sure that you press A, that everything is selected, because otherwise it won't work. Okay, so I'm going to click double A here to deselect, and just to show you here that bisect tool keeps giving me an error because there's no selected edges or faces. Okay, so you got to make sure you press A, everything is selected. So since we're modeling the Pokeball here, we're going to use the circle right here as the opening of the Pokeball. So I do recommend that you check photos of the Pokeball so that you're kind of familiar with it. So this is the one we're kind of opening right here. Okay, and then we're going to there'll be kind of like a gap right here. So we're going to want a straight line coming from here all the way to that, or maybe from this one right here. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, that will probably do it right here. So I'm going to click, since everything is selected, I'm going to click the bisect tool, and then I'm just going to run it kind of from here to there. Okay, all right, so I'm going to let go. Now the option pops up right here on the bisect. All right, the important things right here would be the height of where that needs to be, and then there's no rotation. So I'm going to zero out the rotation here where it says plane normal. I'm just going to type in 0 on that one. Okay, and then the Z axis here. All right, so the Z axis right here controls the kind of up and down, right? So what we want is to position it here, all right, where we could actually create those lines. So maybe right there. Let me just kind of decide here. Maybe up there is what we want. So I'm going to zoom in, and you can shift click drag Z so that you can have like a precise slide. So I'm going to move it up like so that all those points are kind of converging to that. So I'm going to zoom in some more. I think the closest thing is right there, or maybe I probably want it here. That's kind of too high right there. So it's this second circle from the center is what I'm manipulating here. So shift and drag with the mouse. I think the closest thing is probably right there. All right, so I can also use my tool right here. I'm going to click this one so that that tool is fairly close to, so I'm in 0.4 right now. If I zoom in here, I can move this up and down. There you go. So by just manipulating this, I can make sure that all those 3 points converge. Okay, so I have a straight line cut right now. It goes all the way to the back of the object. So just to show you that, there it is. It went all the way. All right, so what we'll do now is that we'll simply go to our select tool here so that we're out of the bisect tool, and now we have this cut here. All right. So if you want to take a look at the numbers, okay, for the point value, you can move that anywhere you want, just so that I move it here at 4.5, sorry, so that it's close to the second circle from the center. Okay, and then z-axis is 0.0747, or you can move this up until those points meet up there. Okay, and then here everything 0, z minus 1. So if you look at this value here, you can just type those in and you can get the exact same line. We could do another bisect and then put it over here if that's another option. But another option is simply mirror this from top to bottom and then apply that. So since we haven't done a lot of modifier here, let's learn how to do that. So I'm going to switch from point mode to face mode here, face selection. Okay, I'm going to make sure that my X-ray is on. Okay, so that when I select half the circle of the sphere, sorry, if I drag a rectangle like so, and I select half, okay, and I'm just going to press X and delete faces, I get like a hemisphere right here. So it's half like so. So what I'll do with this is I will mirror it, okay, along the y-axis here. So I'm going to go to object mode, go to my modifier, which is kind of like the wrench, add a modifier called mirror. When you do that, nothing happens because the default one is on X. It's basically mirroring on itself, so you don't see it, but there's actually a mirror there. Okay, and just to show you that there's a mirror in there, I'm going to go to edit mode here, just so that when I grab this, you could see that it's right there. Okay, so but don't do that. You don't need to do any of that. I just want to show you that it's working. It's just on the wrong axis. I'm going to turn off X-axis. We want that along the Y-axis. So what happens is that it flips it over along the Y-axis. Okay, and we get this sphere again. But the difference is when I go to wireframe mode right here, they both have that straight line from the bisect. Okay, there it is. So we just need to combine the two together. So I'm gonna click on no clipping here, so make sure that everything here is where it's supposed to be. And I didn't move anything, right? Merge is click, I mean it's checked, clipping is checked. So I'm gonna go here to this down arrow and simply I'm gonna go to object mode. Okay, object mode, and then click this, click apply. So now the mirroring is gone, and this is now a solid object. So there's no more mirroring. So we just simply made this into a an object that's a single one. Okay. All right. So there's the cut that goes all the way around. So if you look at a Pokeball, we need to extrude parts here so that it has thickness, or extrude in the inside. Okay. So let's do our selection. So I'm going to go turn on X-ray mode right there. Okay, I'm going to select face mode. All right, so I'm going to drag my rectangle here, so I select kind of like a straight line. Okay, I'm going to zoom in here and then shift and drag those other selections right there so they all become part of it. All right, so if I turn my camera around, it goes all the way like so. Okay, I'm going to go back to number 1. So I'm in the front viewport. Now I'm going to turn off my X-ray because I simply want to add to the selection what's in here. Okay, so if I click on Shift key and drag another rectangle like so, it just selects all this. So if I zoom out over here and just show you, that is our selection now. All right, so in order to create that Pokeball look to this, we just simply need to extrude this and scale in. So the keyboard shortcut to extrude is E. I can go E and then press S to scale and I'm scaling it in. And by doing that, we created that Pokeball look. All right. So another way to do it is not use keyboard shortcuts. I'm going to click undo here. Is to actually use the Extrude tool. Okay. And there's multiple of these, and what we want is just the first one, Extrude region. So if I click this tool, you get this yellow with a plus sign icon here, where you can grab that yellow plus and then push it in. Okay, so instead of pressing E and then scaling S, you kind of have like a visual guide on that one. Oop, it went all the way back. Maybe I need the this one right here, the circle. Oh, it's not liking it because it's the extrusion from the center. Okay, there it is. All right, so I guess it won't work with this one. So let's just use the keyboard shortcut. So instead of using the tool right here. So I'm just going to press E to extrude and then S to scale, but you're scaling it in. Okay, so I'm dragging the mouse towards the center. I don't know how thick that's supposed to be because it's not really familiar with a Pokeball. All right, but let's say that's kind of good enough right there. I'm going to go to the side. All right, that might work. It has enough kind of gap in there. Okay, so now we can, we're done with the outer shell modeling. Let's just do the front modeling here. All right, so I'm going to go number one again, go to the front. Make sure your X-ray is off. I'm going to select just this round part of the front here in face mode. Okay, so now we need to create the button. So for the button, we need to do an inset polygon. So instead of extruding and then scaling, we can just press I, right? As in inset. So if I press I and then move the mouse towards the center, so it kind of created like an edge loop cut. All right, so there is that. So for the button, I'm guessing around there should be a good start for the button. Okay, and then the next one is simply extrude it. So press E to extrude and then move the mouse. Maybe just like that. All right, so there's the button right there. Okay, and then there's going to be another inner button. Okay, so I'm going to select just this area right here now. So I'm going to press 1 again. Okay, and I'm going to drag a rectangle here. You might not get everything, so you can simply select shift click those missing parts. Another way is to use a circle selection. I'm in the rectangular marquee select box selection now, but there's a notch at the bottom of this, so there should be more selection tools. So if I click and drag the mouse here to select circle, this is the same thing as kind of selecting. If you hold down the mouse and then you paint around whatever it is that the circle reticle lands on, it'll be part of the selection. So either way, you know, multiple ways to select. We're going to bring this back to the select box option. All right, let's take a look at this. So now I need to press I again for inset. So it has that little gap right there. Okay. So I press I and inset polygon. And then now I'm going to go E to extrude this. But I'm going to push it back, right? So E and then move the mouse inside. So it kind of create like a little crevice right there. Okay. And then I'm going to press I again. So there's kind of like a gap. Okay. And then I'm going to press E. So that's kind of like the main button. But we want to make sure this is flat. So if we look at the side, I'm going to press number 3 on the numpad. It's not flat right there. Okay. We want to make sure that this is flat. So the fastest way to make this flat is to simply scale it with 0 value along the y-axis. So you simply type in S, then Y, 0, enter. So that thing is now flat. All right, so What else can we do with this regarding modeling? We could probably bevel some edges here, but for now, uh, we're going to save this. So we're going to go File, Save As. I'm going to go Pokeball with a plus right here. So it's another version of it. Okay, so regarding the model, we should be done with this. All right, so let's start our shading. So what I'll do is I'm going to right click in object mode. I'm going to click on Shade Smooth. So all the smooth parts will do their thing, but we're seeing a lot of artifact now because there's a lot of increase polygon count, so on and so forth. We could actually clean this up right here. We don't need all this information up front right here because that's just a flat button, right? So what we can do with this is we can press X while all this edges are selected, right? So if you happen to unselect all of these, just simply select them back. So I'm going to go to number 2, which is edge mode, right? So you could see those selection. I'm going to press X, and then I'm going to dissolve the edge, not delete, but to dissolve. So when you do that, it gets rid of it. It gives you this really clean. Oh, you can't include the ring. I forgot. Sorry. So I'm going to Alt, Shift, click this. Okay. Alt, Shift, click. So we just want all the edges up front. We don't want any of the ring dissolving. So I'm going to press X again, dissolve edges. There you go. That should give us this clean kind of just front look of it. So let me just check normals here real quick. You don't have to do any of this. I just want to make sure freeze orientation is still the same. Okay, and then I'm going to select my face mode, select this one, and let's do some modeling here. So kind of indent this a little bit so it looks like you can actually put your thumb in there, and then it has a nice groove going in. Okay, so I'm going to press I instead of polygon. All right, so up to there. Okay, and then we'll do a another I, and I'm going to go with my move tool and then push this in a little bit, like so. Not too much, just so that it's like indented a bit. Maybe that's a little too much. Okay, kind of like your phone button. Okay, I'm going to go to the edge selection here, number 2 right here, so all the way around. I'm going to right click this and then bevel edges. So I'm going to drag that with a mouse so it's starting to bevel, and then we're going to add some segments to it. So not only is it kind of pushed, so it's a lot smoother going right there, but we still have all these issues here because we need to turn on our normals. Okay, so with the object selected, I'm going to go here on the data tab. It looks like this triangle green icon. I'm going to go to normals right here, and then I'm going to turn on auto smooth. So by doing that, it kept everything that's supposed to be smooth and everything that is sharp. Okay, we could add more to the model here to kind of soften the edges here, but let's do that after we do all the coloring. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to go to face mode here, and I'm going to select all the areas right here. I'm going to go to the side viewport. Okay, I'm going to go to X-ray mode, and I'm going to select this faces right here. That's just for the top. Okay, so I'm just going to go as long as your selection falls inside those dots, they get part of the selection. And since we have X-ray mode, that means it's selecting this side and the other side. Okay, so let's add those as well. All right, let's take a look. I'm going to turn off X-ray mode so that we could see our selection here. Okay, and then shift click and add this. So we want all the top part right here selected. Okay. All right. I think the inner lining here is also black. So we'll let me take a look. All right. Let me just pull a Pokeball real quick. Yeah, it's black. All right. So all right. Let me go back here. All right. So let me go to shading, which is this one. While all these things are selected in face mode, I'm going to go to the shader part. I'm going to click new. Okay. And then I'm going to assign this thing. Okay. Assign right there. In case we lose the selection and then we don't have to reselect. Nothing happened because it's still white. Okay. And we're previewing this in the solid mode. So let's go to the preview, which is the third sphere. Okay. And then since we assigned it already, let's change the color to red. All right, right there. Don't worry about the other parts. There'll be other selection there, but let's just rename this one. This is red paint. All right. So now I'm going to invert my selection. Okay, I'm going to do Control I to invert the selection. So it's inverted. Okay, I'm going to click plus here. I'm going to add a new one. Let's make this one black all the way down. And then click Assign. All right. So, and rename this black paint. Okay, so if I go to my object mode just to quickly preview it, there it is. All right, the reason why we did that is that so we don't have to, since we just inverted the selection, we save a lot of time picking all these parts that's supposed to be black, and then now we can just select what's supposed to be not black. All right, so I'm going to select this part, this face right here, and I'm going to grow my selection. Okay, so again, there's many ways to do this. You can click Shift and Alt and grow your selection that way. You can also do if you have a numpad, you can do Control, hold down Control, and then click the plus sign on your numpad, and it grows its selection. And we want it all the way till there, I think. Okay, so we want all this part of the button to be white. So let's add a new color, new. And we want to make sure it's really white right there. Click Assign. There we have it. So this one now is white. Okay. And we're just going to call this white paint. And I'm not sure if it's the same white as the bottom. But for now, that's what we'll do. I'm going to go to number 3 here, which is the side. I'm going to turn on X-ray mode selection, okay, and then I'm going to select the bottom, and we're simply just going to make this one, and I have X-ray mode, okay, the white color. So select those parts that I missed, shift and drag, okay. All right, let me back away and then kind of check. Let me turn off X-ray mode. It's a lot easier to see. Okay, it looks like that's all the faces that I need to add. Okay, so white paint, I'm going to click Assign. All right, and regarding the Pokeball right here, I think we are done with the coloring, except we need to make sure that this is kind of shiny and whatnot. Okay, so I'm going to go to Object Mode, and then each paint now that we manipulate here, of course, correspond to that. So what I'll do here is that I'll make sure that this one is shiny. So the roughness here is about halfway. So it's kind of rough. So I'm going to pull this down so it kind of looks like that kind of really shiny metal plastic thing. You can also make this metallic if you want. It has this kind of, but I don't know if that's a Pokeball color. All right, so I'm just gonna not make it metallic, bring this back to 0. And the roughness of it, it's kind of universal for all this. I'm just gonna make it to 0.15 so that when we go to the white paint, we're also gonna give the roughness a 0.15 so they all have the same. And the black in the middle, Gary, is the black of the Pokemon in the middle. Is that supposed to be shiny or dull?
I've only ever seen it dull.
Yeah, it looks good as dull, I think, so that it the contrast of the outer shell,
It's like
and
a matte
then
black.
yeah, so it's matte black. So we probably with the black one, we're probably going to increase the roughness a little bit, just so that or just point 0.5 actually is fine. It has a little bit of shimmer or shininess to it, but it kind of like, but it's not kind of like enough, right? So and then the middle part right here is usually the same color as this one. Um, Let me go back to the Pokemon images again. Pokeball, not Pokemon. That's usually is white. Um, it does have a black kind of outline on the other side, but let's make ours kind of glow. So let's add an emission to the center one. Okay. So let's add another material here. I'm going to click plus, new right here, and then we're going to call this one button glow. Okay. And we're going to change the surface of that one from principled to emission. Okay. I'm going to go to edit mode. I have to be in edit mode. I have to select this one and grow my selection all the way till the button. So let me zoom in. One more. Control plus. All right, that should do just the button right there. Button glow. I'm going to apply, assign it. Okay. And give it a strength of, let's say, 5 for now. All right, so if you look right here, it looks like it's kind of lit. Okay. And if we turn on our EV settings here, so the first tab, I'm going to click on ambient occlusion, bloom, and then space, screen space reflection. Okay. And yeah, that should be it for now. There you have it. So the button kind of glows. Maybe it's way too hot on that strength. Just a little bit. All right. Right there. We kind of lost all the detailing because of just the glow, but that's fine because you can turn off the glow. You know, you can turn off the glow and then you'll see the detail. All right. So it's kind of like it just has this kind of option. Maybe to do the contrast to, I'm going to go here and select this ring. So if I, oops, sorry, too close. So if I'm going to hold down Alt and click this line right here, it selects the entire ring right there. To kind of give it separation, I'm going to go back to my black paint right here and click Assign. I think so that at least we got that kind of contrast right there. Okay. All right, so there's that. Let's just create a floor for it. So I'm going to go, I'm in object mode, add mesh plane. All right. And I'm just simply going to scale this around that big right there. I'm going to go to the front. I'm going to move it down so that this Pokeball is not floating in the air. All right. And let's give it a material. Okay, just kind of make it metallic right here. And then lower that and so that it's kind of grayish. Okay. There it is. And then let's give it a background. So I'm going to go edit mode. Okay, I'm going to select this edge right here at the back. Press E to extrude it. Then it just goes up on its own. So I'm going to right click to cancel that movement and then drag the blue arrow so that it's a straight line going up. Let's kind of make this smooth right here. So I'm going to select that line, right click it to bevel the edge and kind of drag the mouse. I'm going to increase my bevel here to, let's say, 10. I'm going to hit tab or go to object mode. Right click this one to shade smooth so you don't see that kind of groove right there. Alright, so there it is. There's our Pokeball, and then this is what we'll use to, let me save my file, so that we can do a bouncing ball, kind of do some squash and stretch, do all the principles of animation, uh, rotating animation, all that good stuff, so that we have a ball to use. Okay, so and of course this will be a homework. You will be recreating this, and let me just set up my camera here real quick. So I'm going to press 0. Okay, so this is what the camera is looking at. I'm going to go to view right here, and I'm going to lock the camera to view, which then if I middle click drag my mouse, I can control it as if I'm controlling the working camera. Okay, I'm also going to go here to the output and simply reverse my resolution so that I get a more like a vertical top to this one. Okay, so with this I'm going to increase the y-axis to maybe, let's just make it to 2000 by, let's make this one 2300. Okay, and then I'm going to shift drag the mouse so that it's kind of positioned like so, so that we have we can bounce this ball and we have enough height. I'm going to select this one, go to edit mode, select that edge, and then make it a little higher so it's above the camera. And let's not worry about the lights for now. We're just going to use it in preview mode. We should be able to see all of our animation with that. So alright, so this is the Pokeball modeling lesson, and basically just preparing it for our basic animation in 3D.